Hi guys, EV Daryl. Welcome back to the channel. So today's video, as it states up above, is our 18-month review of ownership of our 2023 Chevrolet Bolt 1LT. Okay, I got the base model when we bought it. We took possession of it March 11th. I had to go back and check. March 11th, 2023 is when we took possession. So let's go over some stats. We have just under 40,000 miles on the Bolt. And currently, I would show you it, but my daughter Darcy is driving it. Her husband, my son-in-law, had a car versus deer accident about 2.5 weeks ago, I think it was. And they are driving, maybe it's almost 3 weeks ago. And they have been driving my car since, because theirs is in the shop. Theirs is about to be finished, should be back on the road pretty quick, according to everything I talked to them the other day. So we have no issues, none whatsoever. The car's running great. My daughter, very impressed with the car. They took it to run errands the other day. And I should add, they are charging with my 110 adapter. So they're not even using a 220 charger. And like she said, they get 50 miles overnight over a 12-hour charge. She's probably got a 10 or 20 mile a day commute back and forth total. No issues charging with a 110 plug. No issues whatsoever. Very easy to plug in, unplug, like took her like 3 seconds to figure out how to do it. So I also want to go back literally since October of last year. And now today is September 11th of 2024. So it's been 18 months of ownership, but since October of last year was the last time I spent any money on the Bolt. And that was for the cabin air filter. Late October, I think, 25th or so, I bought a cabin air filter. Didn't even need it after 25,000 miles on it. And I put a half gallon of windshield washer fluid in it. So literally, it's been almost a year, zero expenses. I haven't even put any more windshield washer fluid in. Now, we've only put 10,000 more miles on it this last 6 months. So I've cut back on my Uber driving. We just drove the daylights out of it when we first got it. We took it for everything, everywhere. We took it to South Florida on a road trip. You should see that video. I think I made 2 or 3 videos on that. It was brutal. So we'll get into that later. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what we like about the car. And I made a bunch of notes down here to kind of keep me on task because, sometimes I go down a rabbit hole. We like the way it drives, the way it handles. It's very comfortable to ride in. We have driven it, like I said, almost 40,000 miles now. It has saved us a ton of money, just a ton of money on fuel. And I used to drive a Toyota Prius. Remember, my last car was the most fuel efficient internal combustion engine ICE car in the world. And this has just been saving us just a ton of money. But back to what I said, we've only driven at 10,000 miles this last 6 months. Part of that is we have traveled some. We have been now driving our Tesla Model Y a lot more. And I've been Uber driving less. Now, I've cut back on that for those reasons I mentioned, but also it's less profitable, the Uber driving. There's been changes to the platform of Uber, which is not for the good of the drivers. I still do it. I do it for enjoyment. Not for any particular reason, and a little extra spending money and things like that. But Those are the reasons we've cut back. Now, the first year we put 30,000 miles on the car. Looks like we're probably going to put close to 20,000 miles on this year if all goes well and stays status quo on the Bolt. So we have averaged 4.5 miles per kilowatt lifetime on the car, which is really good, really good. It had went down over the winter because winter driving is tougher on a car. It was down to 4.2 or 3, I think, after last winter when the spring came. But all driving spring and summer, it's boosted it way up. We're up to lifetime now. 40,000 miles, we've been averaging 4.5 miles per kilowatt. So battery degradation is somewhere between 3 and 5%. That's what usually happens on most electric cars. It's in the beginning and then it tapers off and basically there's not a lot. Now we'll keep track of it. I haven't been able to do a perfect scenario check on the battery degradation, but from everything that I have tried to do, it looks like between 3 and 5%. So everything I've seen on stats, a lot of stuff from the people who keep stats are on Teslas who use the first year or so, they get a 3 to 5% degradation on their batteries, and then it tapers off to very little degradation for the next, whatever, extremely long length of time. But we're pretty, I understand if there's 3 to 5%, there's going to be battery degradation, charging and using and charging and using, and it happens. I'm still hoping to get 200,000 or 300,000 miles out of this car, and we'll do the numbers at the end on how much it saved us on gas. We'll do we'll keep some really good stats, and I've been keeping spreadsheets on things. The next issue I wanted to talk about was the phantom battery drain that I know a lot of Tesla owners talk about, me included. If you leave your car at the airport, it's going to have a phantom battery drain. Now, whether that's for the first 12 hours, you're going to have Sentry mode. Anytime somebody comes by the car, Sentry mode is going to videotape them. Whether you have cabin overheat protection on, things like that. But even when those are turned off, there is still modules that are on, in the Tesla. And I hear it from all Tesla owners. There is a phantom battery drain. It may be very small, and their updates are doing really good at working on that. They know they have an issue, and they're working on that because it now on my app, it will show it's been asleep for 8 hours. So the car and the app has been asleep for 8 hours. It shows that. But anyway, what I wanted to say is we have left the Chevy Bolt on a couple of occasions at the airport. And one time, and we actually didn't do percentage, we had mileage. I think my wife had 65 miles left on it when she had left it at the airport. We came back, I think it was a week later, we flew in. It had 65 miles. 0 phantom battery drain. That's awesome. When you lock the Bolt and you go away from it, it doesn't have modules running in the background. It doesn't do things to it. It literally goes to sleep. All modules, which is really, really nice. So in that respect, I like that. I have no problem leaving the car for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, This winter, we're probably going to have the Tesla in South Florida. So unless my kids are going to be driving the car, sometimes it's going to be in the garage, locked up. So I hope they'll take it, hope they'll drive it some. If we come home in between on our trips, I'll drive it, I'll do some videos on those, but we've been very impressed. 0 battery drain issues. And honestly, this is a known fact. The only negative that we can ever continue to come up with on the car, we just look for negatives. We look for positives. We're looking for everything. Is the DC fast charging is horrible. Now, I don't DC fast charge because I don't normally go on trips with it. I mean, we could still go 200, 250 miles. I mean, we've taken it to Chicago for pizza. We've taken it, numerous times up there. And so we stop for a half hour at a DC fast charger after I have pizza. Is it as fast as the Tesla? No. But that is the negative. When you start looking for negatives, you're like, well, I can't take it on a 20,000 mile road trip. You can, you just need to be prepared. Chevy knows that it's a terrible DC fast charging speeds. When you have a maximum of 55 kilowatts of charge, if the battery is at the right depth and the temperature of the battery is at the right depth and your maximum charge is 55 kilowatt hours coming in, that's horrible. An example, I get 253 kilowatts in a Tesla. So what's that? 5 times faster? Now, the 253 doesn't stay all the way. It caps there and then it starts gradually coming down. But when you're talking 5 times faster, that's why when we road tripped out to Colorado in the Tesla, we stopped for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's all we needed to stop and go. We didn't need to stop. As when we took the Bolt to South Florida, our stops averaged almost 60 minutes every single stop. And you can't have that. You just can't have that. So I want to go over some stats now. If I would have been driving my Prius, these 40,000 miles, at today's, now these are averages. Now gas prices have been up. Gas prices have been really up, kind of up. Anyway, today's gas price is $3.59.9. Okay. So if we drove the Prius 40,000 miles at 50 miles per gallon, at today's gas prices, we would have spent $2,879.20 for fuel over those 40,000 miles. Okay. Now, having said that, with the Bolt, if we would have driven that at 12 cents per kilowatt, which I used last year, that's what I had on my fixed rate. I've had some free charging. I had some supercharging when I went to Florida and back, or DC fast charging, not supercharging. So we're throwing it in an average, okay? I don't have these exact figures, but they're pretty close because we've gotten a lot of free charging. You guys know when I go to East Peoria, if I'm there an hour, 25, 30 miles of free charge. Anyway, if I would have spent the 12 cents a kilowatt for the full 40,000 miles, I get 4.5 miles per kilowatt. That brings it down to $1,066 in electricity that I would have used, okay? So you're looking at $1,812 savings. That's just the savings average to average. Now, 2 months ago, I switched to Power Smart pricing on my electricity bills, which now I average like 2 cents a kilowatt because I pay 1.5 overnight, 1.8, sometimes 2 cents a kilowatt. At that rate, now that we're there, if I was to drive 40,000 miles and average 2 cents a kilowatt, I would have spent $177 to drive 40,000 miles, okay? Now, I've had people ask me, well, don't you pay more for registration? Yes. I have to pay in Illinois, I pay $100 a year extra because I don't pay for gas tax. So Illinois charges you $100 because you drive an electric car, extra on your registration annually. But the way I look at it is, I didn't have, say I average 20,000 miles a year, if I have 4 oil changes a year in my gas car and it costs me, I do it myself, so it might only cost me $25 or $30. That's $120 a year. Okay. So I don't have oil changes. I don't waste my time on oil changes and I don't get dirty, and those offset. So I pay an extra $100 on my registration. I save $130 plus my time on oil changes. For me, people ask me about my insurance, car insurance. Oh, it's an electric car. They charge you that. No. My car price for my insurance actually went down not a lot, very little on my Bolt. I don't know if it was safety features, which were newer than my 2010 Prius. If they realized that there's 2% of the moving parts that can break down on an electric car versus a gas car, I don't know. But when I got insurance in 2023 on my Bolt, and I don't have the exact figures, but I remember my wife saying, hey, it's either like the same price or a little bit cheaper going from the Prius to the Bolt. Similar sized cars, 4-door hatchback. Everything's just about the same. So it's a no-brainer. You know, the insurance is the same or a little less. You pay more on the registration, but you save on the oil changes. You don't have air filters. You don't have anything like that. There's no spark plugs to change when we hit 100,000 miles. There's just, no parts that I can think of other than the battery, which is warranted for 100,000 miles on the Bolt. We now have 40,000 miles on it. The drive motor, front wheel drive motor is warranted for 100,000 miles. And I said something in a video, I think last year at my 1 year video, we were hoping that this next year I would have 0 expenses on the Bolt. And to this point, we literally haven't had any expenses since last October, and those were basically self-made. I didn't even need to replace the cabin air filter, but I did because GM recommended it. So again, 0 expenses and 0 time wasted. Things that people don't really take into consideration when they say, well, I just have my oil changed at the shop. Oh, okay. Schedule it. Pay $100 for it. And how much time are you wasting down there? I know, I used to work at a shop for a while. I know how much time people spend when they say, I had a 9 o'clock appointment for an oil change. Well, they had a 9 o'clock appointment, but at 10 or 10:30, they're still there. You either had to take time off from work or you had to add that into your schedule because time is expensive. As I learn now more as a retired person, your time is very, very, very important. I don't know what it's worth. I haven't seen figures of what your time is worth, but you don't have that with an electric car. You don't go to the gas station. How much time is wasted at a gas station? Well, I only waste 10 minutes at a gas station. Okay, that's if there's no line, and that is you have to drive to a gas station. I know these 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there and 10 minutes, they add up, okay? I've never done the math on how many hours over 100,000 miles you've wasted going to a gas station and your time and getting gas and you're swiping the cards and you're doing your stuff. If you can charge at home while you sleep, you're not wasting any time. I might try to figure that out sometime because the wasted time on an internal combustion engine car has got to be massive compared to an electric car with 0 maintenance. So I was trying to go over some of my other notes and what we needed to go over and talk about. And my final impressions, we were talking about that this morning. Are we happy? Yes, extremely happy. We're very glad we bought the car when we bought it. The price of the car was $25,900. When I was looking at a new Prius, because I almost went with another Prius because I loved my Prius, my last Prius. They were about the same price, $26,000, $28,000, $29,000, whatever. I ended up getting a $4,800 federal tax credit because I don't pay enough in taxes. So my $25,900 car, well, $26,800 after destination, ended up being a $21,000 car. So buying a car to buying a car, there's a misconception that electric cars are 5 times more expensive. No, it was the exact same price, which ended up being cheaper. And then I got a tax credit of $5,000. So I was already way ahead of the game before I started saving the money now on gas and everything else that we're saving. Am I going to be able to save over the life of it the whole $25,000? I don't know. Time will tell. But comparing apples to apples, I almost bought another Prius when I ended up ordering my Bolt. So if you have to buy a car, they were the same price. So I'm way ahead already. What am I, $6,000 ahead, $7,000 counting the $1,700, $1,800 in saving in gas so far and counting. So would we do it again? Absolutely. In a heartbeat. No questions asked. It was a great purchase. Now, ask me again in another year, 2 years, 5 years, It still hasn't compared to my Prius that had 245,000, 243 when it blew up, something like that. That car lasted us 13 years. It was a great car. I want the Bolt to do the same thing. But as of apples to apples, time to time, 40,000 miles, would we do it again? Absolutely. All right. With that, I think we're done. So please like, subscribe, and comment below. For those of you that have the new Priuses, they look awesome. I like the looks of them. Or anything else you have. Any questions, any comments, please drop them down below. And until next time, America, take care.